Welcome to another week of Family Life with Mama Rita. The past few weeks has been very good, where we had Reverend and Pastor Mrs. Major Chum. I mean, it's been so good, their 30th anniversary. And I can't say congratulations enough. 30th is a long journey, and if anybody celebrates 30, my darling, when you celebrate 30, let me know. I will celebrate you on Family Life. Because of them, we couldn't celebrate the Green Month. What is the Green Month? Green Month is Mental Awareness Month. Mental Awareness Month. The whole of May is Mental Awareness Month. We couldn't come up with a program, but at least today we want to do it. Last Saturday, 2G and Royal Ladies celebrated the Green Month, that is the Mental Awareness Month. And we celebrated it with postnatal depression or postpartum disorders, that is depression and anxiety after birth. Sometimes we think that women go through just 9 months of pregnancy and they deliver and that is all. My darling, pregnancy and childbirth comes with its own issues and its own challenges. After the 9 months, what people do not know is that some people go through depression after giving birth. That is why people around them, family members, colleagues, husbands, siblings, you must be there for anyone that delivers. So we invited the doctor, Dr. Ajua Jamina, all the way from Cape Coast to talk to us about postpartum depression. Dr. Ajua is the head of the psychology department or the head of psychology unit at Cape Coast Hospital. Pleasure is mine to introduce to you Dr. Ajua to talk to us about postnatal or postpartum depression.
Thank you very much. Please let's be seated. Thank you for the introduction. For our topic today, we'll be looking at healing after birth and beyond, especially struggles we don't talk about. So we are looking at maternal mental health struggles mothers go through. The next slide, please. It's not obvious, the writing isn't obvious, but then this slide talks about how excited we are when a mother brings home a baby. During the pregnancy journey, everybody is worried, everybody is concerned. We know how it is like. Even in the labor room, I've had the pleasure of seeing some patients waiting when their relative is in the labor room. And sometimes I'm like, God must feel really special, Because the praises and the worship that comes after they say that the baby is out and the mother is fine, it comes. Everybody is happy. And so we don't remember that the mother may be struggling or the mother may be having some discomfort. Everybody sees you and is well done. Ayiko, congratulations. These days we are a little more sensitive, so very few times do you get a boy or a girl. It's a human being, right? But we don't ask, how can I help? What do you need? And even when we do, that singular question, one of my friends had her first baby and her husband was in mission, peacekeeping. And the husband would call her every day, so this is his idea of support. He would call her every day and he would say, what's your plan for today? And she gets angry. Don't ask me about my plan for today. I don't have any plan. My plan is the baby. How can I help? And then we don't know how to answer the question because there's a million and one things we're thinking about I need a warm shower. I need time for myself. And so the mother doesn't know where exactly to start from. Which of the things on my list should I say I need? And so she will say, I'm fine. And then there's also the issue of being too scared or too afraid to seem ungrateful. More often than not, there's a lot of support. It's not everyone that doesn't have support. These days, there's some support. There are mothers so one woman came to my consulting room. She's well-known, makeup artist. Came to my consulting room, and her problem was the fact that she didn't know how to ask for help because she doesn't even know what she needs the help for. She has so much support. Both her mother and her mother-in-law are living in the house. It's her first baby. Her husband has taken time off work for 3 months to stay with her. She has all the support she can ask for, but she's still not okay. And she's too scared to say that she's not okay because then it would seem like, you know. So all of these are struggles women go through, and we don't talk about it enough. Sometimes we are only interested when we think they don't have enough support. But let's also look at those who even have support. A mother is a mother. Struggle is struggle. And let's not compare. Sometimes someone is struggling, so maybe she went into the labor room with a twin pregnancy, and she came back with one baby. And then you have someone say, it's very insensitive. And we think we are providing support, but it's wrong. Let's not compare. Let's not say things like one of my classmates lost her baby, and it was a second pregnancy loss. And she had psychologists, unfortunately, psychologists, say to her, at least you can still get pregnant again. Let's be more sensitive. Let's be careful with our words. If you don't have anything to say, don't say anything. Just listen. Just be present for the mother. So this will be the outline of our presentation. We'll first introduce the topic, look at common maternal mental health problems. What are some of the risk factors that predispose us to these problems? What's the common signs and symptoms we should look out for to know that a friend or a sister or a mother may be struggling? What's the impact of maternal mental health disorders on the mother and then on the baby or even in adulthood, the child? And then what local resources and supports can we have? The next slide. I'm so sorry, most of the slides is not visible. Maternal mental health is a state of well-being of a mother in which the mother can realize her own potential. Realizing your potential means being able to achieve what you're set to achieve, being able to do as much as you can do. And then she should be able to cope with the normal stresses of life. She should be able to work productively and fruitfully, and then she should be able to contribute meaningfully to her community. A mother's overall emotional, social, and mental well-being is crucial before, during, and after pregnancy. So we'll be looking at the perinatal period. This is the period before pregnancy and up to 1 year after delivery. Next slide. So worldwide, about 1 in 10 women would have a mental health problem. 1 in 10 mothers would have a mental health problem. And when you take developing countries like Ghana, it increases to about 13%. Among women who have just given birth, this prevalence, which is 13%, would also increase to 15.6% if you are looking at a place like Ghana. After childbirth, this percentage rises to almost 20%. That's 1 in every 5 women. So right after childbirth, the problem even worsens. Unfortunately, only 10% of these women get help. And this is the reason we need to talk more about it. Next slide. How do we deal with expectations of a new mom? Let's hear some of you. What are some of the expectations of a new mom? I will start by telling you some of them, and then you can tell me how you, your friend, your sister, it's never us, it's always our friend or our sister, right? How did your sister cope? How is she coping? So one of the expectations is sociocultural expectations of a mother. What a good mother is supposed to do. So that if you're not doing those things, then you feel bad, you feel guilty, you feel like you're not doing enough. There's also personal expectations. People have personal expectations of themselves. They want to be better than their mothers did. And so they're constantly battling with themselves, feeling like they're not doing too much. Then there are biological issues too. So sometimes the breast milk is not coming. And that can also be very stressful for a mother. Then there's the career expectations. So in terms of our career, sometimes the 6 weeks is not enough. Not sometimes, all the time. 3 months is not enough. You wish you had a year to be with your child, to take care of your baby. So these are some of the expectations that worsen the struggle. So let's have 1 or 2 people tell us how they or someone they know coped with the struggle or is coping with the struggle. Anyone?
So my issue was how to get the breast milk coming out, even though I was experiencing sore and other things around the nipple. And what comforted me was the fact that the child will get breast milk if I should keep on, because I contacted some of those who already had experience, and the advice was, if you stop, the breast milk will not come. The more the child keep on sucking, even though it's not coming, the breast will start forming up, and you'll go through successfully. So the fact that I knew it will come, I just coped with the sword and everything. That time, nobody told me I could apply anything. So I just felt the pain, and then I would just squeeze my face a little and say that, oh, this will be over very soon. So that was how I coped with it. But I have a friend who was able to, as for DS, her time, she was able to get some ointment and other things that she applied to the nipple to give them some soothing and other things. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's never easy sharing a personal experience. Thank you so much. Can we please clap for her? She's done very well. Is there anyone else who would want to share with us? Otherwise, we would continue. How you or anyone you know coped with the expectations, social expectations, cultural expectations, personal expectations of motherhood. Because it's these expectations that cause the stress. Anyone?
So for me, unfortunately, I had to, unfortunately, both of my babies came, I had 2 preemie babies. So they were delivered at 7 months. And so that meant that they had to be at the hospital for some time before they could come home. And when I became a first-time mom, it was very, very hard. You want to hear, you want to be a mother who went full-term and then comes home with the baby. I didn't get that opportunity to be home with my baby, my first baby, for 2 months. So it was very, very hard. And when I got discharged from the hospital, I think a week after delivery, I had to be commuting from the house to the hospital. I had to also be expressing milk, keeping them in the freezer. And then on the days that I traveled to go and see my daughter, every single day, I had to take it with me. There were times that I had to also spend some time, sleep at the hospital overnight. And at that point, I felt like nobody understood what I was going through. But then I had a very, very good support system. My husband was around, my mother was around, my in-laws were around. My sister-in-law wants me to hype her because she was there on the day of the delivery of my first. She stayed with me the first night. She stayed in the hospital with me. Thank you so much, Najuma. I love you. It was very, very hard, but I think that having good support system helps you. It gives you clarity. There was a point in time when I had my daughter and I saw her. When you give birth to them, they are nice and fresh until they lose all the baby weight. That's all the infusions that they had. At a point, I didn't recognize my daughter, and I was in denial. But then I went to honor Mama Nandi wherever she is. So she was my counselor and also the
prayer service that we.
She was there for me. She prayed with me, and I believe that every mother needs somebody to stand with them. Every mother needs somebody they can just talk to so that they can pour their hearts out. I feel very, very blessed and privileged to have that kind of support. So that saw me through. But then again, you also get into the moments of loneliness where you feel like nobody understands you, nobody knows what you're going through, or you're asking God, why did you have to go through this situation? And it took me years to come into acceptance. I think I finally accepted it last year or so when Reverend Stanley or Reverend Steve gave their testimony, having a child preterm. It takes a long while, you know.
Common that women have babies before postpartum.
Chalet, it's a very scary experience. So please keep praying for me so that I can give Mama Rita her third grandchild. Thank you.
For me, it was the stress or pressure of getting back to your regular routine. I was 2G president. There was a lot going on in church. And I remember even when during labor, I was texting and planning church events. So you had to get back into your routine. I started a new job too around that time, so I didn't have the privilege of closing early. I was also doing full what's that thing called? Exclusive breastfeeding. So combining, sometimes I would finish work, I would go home, I would express, and then come to church for rehearsals or meeting and go back. And I don't know why I wanted to do it. Like, I didn't want to slack. Like, I had to. And then your mother is putting pressure on you that you're not tying your stomach. And it was a lot of pressure. And then around that period too. And around that period too, with work, I needed to take some exams for promotion. So I'd also started exams around that period. So it was very overwhelming for me, but it's like, I have to do it. I want to do it. I don't want people giving excuses. And one thing that annoys me is when people give childbirth excuses when it comes to ministry. So I wanted to prove that I can do it. If I can do it, then you can also do it too. But I put a lot of stress and pressure on myself.
So hers is more of personal expectations. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. There was another hand up.
Okay, so I married and I had my first child after 7 years. So in my mind, after 7 years that now I have a baby, the whole world should be at my door. Beck and call. Both families. I was expecting my mother, my in-laws, everybody. But unfortunately, my expectations, give me the word, was not met. And psychologically, I started thinking about so many things. And you want to is it that my mother is not happy I have a child? Is it that my in-law? And if you are not careful, these thoughts can escalate into something else. But I want to thank God for the mother he gave me in Mama Rita. She stood with me, got me a nanny, somebody I can rely on. My husband was there to support. With this, it calmed me down. I was able to resume work, go back to my corporate job, and also come back into ministry without stress. Because I thought that it was going to be that easy from the other side. But because I didn't get it, it was trying to go into my mind. But thankfully, with her counsel, it helped me and I was able to overcome it and back into ministry. Because of that, I gave birth like rats. After 6 months, and I want to thank God for her life. So the support is really, really important. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone had their hand up. Right, let's move on. Thank you very much for sharing. Hey, this boy, you won't talk. Let me stand here more so that you talk. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. Thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Right. So now we're going to look at some of the common maternal mental health disorders. And in the picture down there, we see a number of things, and we also see grief. And you may wonder, what is grief about someone who has had a baby? But remember, we are talking about what she has lost after the delivery. Her personal life, her privacy, her individuality. Sometimes people have so much support. Now they feel like, I need time to be by myself. And so whenever there's loss of any form, you would have grief. So grief is the psychological response to loss. Right, so let's look at some of the mental health disorders. The first one we'll look at, please, next slide. The first one we'll look at is the most common, which is what affects almost every mother, and that is the postpartum blues or baby blues. This is usually a mix of anxiety, depression, feeling sad, crying. Sometimes they can't even tell you why they are crying. Sometimes they don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to take their phones. They don't want to see anybody or talk or hear from anybody. And with postpartum blues, so we are going to look mainly at how to differentiate between this one and the one that is a problem. Postpartum blues is not a problem because it doesn't affect the mother's social functioning. It doesn't affect her occupational functioning. She may not want to talk to anybody, but she will drag herself into the work. But if it wasn't postpartum blues and it was any of the other ones that we'll mention, she won't even drag herself to work. So her work would suffer. And once your work is suffering, your relationships are suffering, then it's a mental health disorder. So postpartum blues is not a mental health disorder. It's a normal response for most mothers. And it's usually because of the hormones, the sudden change in hormones, the sudden reduction in hormones right after the placenta comes out. Again, with postpartum blues, so differentiating when should we worry, when should we know that this mother's concerns is one I should take to the hospital and that mother's concerns is one we can talk to her through. If it's postpartum blues, apart from the fact that it affects her social functioning and or occupational functioning, postpartum blues also would resolve over time. So the symptoms keep reducing over time. It doesn't worsen. So if you are giving it a few days to a few weeks and you're watching the mother closely, you realize that her symptoms are improving. It's not becoming worse. If it's getting worse, then it's not postpartum blues, and that mother needs professional help. That mother needs more than counseling. But with postpartum blues, counseling helps for the mother to get back quickly. Right. Then there's postpartum psychosis. So we are looking at just two things: postpartum blues, postpartum psychosis. And these days, we refer to postpartum depression as postpartum psychosis. Postpartum anxiety is still postpartum psychosis. We want to look at it that way so that we get the difference clear and then we know when to get help. So it's either you have postpartum psychosis or you have postpartum blues. Now, with postpartum psychosis, there can be the depression type. So what we know as postpartum depression is postpartum psychosis, depression type. Again, this woman would be sad most days in the week, almost every day. She would struggle to get out of bed. People will see her and think she's being lazy. She herself would have guilt. So there's a lot of delusional guilt where the mother feels like she's not doing enough. She feels like she herself feels like she's being lazy. Getting out of bed is a chore. And she would complain that she's not having enough sleep. Yet everybody around her will say she's sleeping too much. And that is the nature of depression. So they lie in bed a lot of the time, but they are not sleeping. And even when they sleep, they wake up feeling unrefreshed. So they're going to wake up believing they had no sleep at all. But if you were lying by them, you will say, but you slept for 6 hours. The woman is waking up feeling unrefreshed. Then there's changes in appetite. People say that some people eat more when they are depressed. I say no to that. People don't have an increase in appetite when they are depressed. What they do is that they want to stuff things into their mouth. So it's not an appetite. They are so stressed, so sad, that they just want to put something in their mouth. They don't wake up and feel for ice cream. That's what appetite is. With appetite, you wake up feeling for something. You can be thinking about that fufu that is at home waiting for you. That's appetite. But the person with depression would not have that. So even if they are, so whether they are eating more or eating less, there's still a reduction in the appetite. They are not enjoying what they are eating. All right, next slide. Apart from postpartum depression, which is postpartum psychosis depression type, there's also anxiety. Here, the mother worries about a lot of things, including the concern that she's not good enough for the child. And more often than not, it's the anxiety that starts first, especially because of the social and cultural, personal expectations we talked about. A lot of mothers are anxious. Everybody wants to do better. Every mother wants to be the best. Every mother wants to give their child the best. And they're constantly battling with themselves, wondering if they are doing enough. So that even when they are tired, they can't seem to be able to stop. So many of my colleagues would say that, I say I need a nanny, but I can't seem to leave my child with anybody. What if? So all of that worsens the anxiety in the mother. And usually with the anxiety starting, when counsel isn't given, when the woman doesn't get the necessary support, it escalates into depression. So that patient I talked about who came into my consulting room, what drove her into the hospital eventually? So she was talking to a friend of hers who is an internal medicine specialist. Internal medicine specialists are those who take care of diabetes, hypertension, asthma, etc. And she was receiving counsel from this friend of hers, and they had been talking for a while where the friend was encouraging her, it will be fine, don't worry. She had even had intimacy, physical intimacy with her husband for almost a year since the delivery. So they would talk, and it's like, oh, but you to try it, the man is suffering, they are friends. Then one time, she called the specialist and said, I feel like my body is leaving me. Like I'm lying down, but I can see myself getting up. And I'm telling my husband, I'm screaming because it's like I'm dying. Is it that I'm dead? Is that my spirit? It was at that point that the internal medicine specialist said that, hey, this one day, let's go and look for the Sunsum doctors. The Sunsum doctors are the psychiatrists. So then she called me and said, Ajo, I don't see a thing. And that is depersonalization. With severe anxiety, people have depersonalization, where they have an out-of-body experience. And most of us interpret it spiritually as, I died. And it can happen also in panic episodes or panic attacks. You feel like we're weary and you are seeing your body. So all of that happens in anxiety. Then the final one, which is what most people are able to pick up when it happens, is the schizophrenia-like one, that then postpartum psychosis that we knew. So in the schizophrenia-like one, the person does almost all the things you think about or you see on TV when they are trying to depict mental illness. So talking to herself, so the woman will be sitting down talking to herself as if she's talking to someone. She may be gesticulating like she's talking to someone or seeing somebody. Sometimes she will neglect her personal hygiene. Again, with severe depression, severe anxiety, it can escalate into the schizophrenia-like one, where you have severe depression with psychosis. And the lady who came into my consulting room had that. It was so dramatic. So dramatic. Her husband took a video and sent to me, and she was sitting down in the hall, behaving in a childlike manner. And this causes a lot of anxiety for even the caregivers, because it's like, what is happening? She's losing her mind. And this is what depression can do. So in the schizophrenia-like one, there are hallucinations where they are seeing things that are not there or hearing things when no one is speaking. And then they can also have fixed beliefs, usually beliefs that someone wants to harm them or harm their child. The reason these things are important, especially for us as a community, as a church, is that when we don't pay attention to them, we may lose that person, because we are saying that at this point, they've lost function. They are not functioning socially. They are not functioning at work. They may be going to work, but they are not being productive. Some people may miss promotions during that period. And that's why we need to talk about it. Now, if anybody has any of these signs and symptoms, they absolutely need professional help. It has gone beyond the pastors. It has gone beyond the counselor. It has gone beyond the psychologist. They absolutely need a psychiatrist at that point. Next slide, please. So we've talked about some of the risk factors. We've mentioned that the changes in hormones, especially the sudden reduction in the hormones, cause these symptoms in most women. We've also looked at some psychological risk factors. We've mentioned stress on its own. There's also exposure to violence or exposure to any form of trauma. It can be rape, it can be physical abuse, among others. Next slide, please. Then there are also social stresses. Next slide. Social stresses, and the main one for most people is financial stress. We want a baby, we want a baby. The baby comes and it's, where's the money going to come from? Which school should I send the baby to? And like I said, every woman wants to do the best for their child. And so they're looking at all the really good schools until they hear the cost of the school fees, and then they are like, hey, and then that also worsens the stress for them. Someone said that she was so certain that her child would go to the best schools, and eventually she didn't get the financial support, so she took the child to a regular school. So for her, best school is international school. So she took the child to a regular school. The child will come back every day, and then whatever you say, the child will do, shh. Whatever you say, shh. So she thought that, oh, maybe the child is just playing with her. Not knowing that's all the child learns in school. The teacher will do shh, and the children will sleep. So they are not learning anything in the school. Then she took her child's hand and went to one of the international schools to make inquiries. She said, Ajwa. I'm Ajwa. So she said, Ajwa, Nkolano, omo confidence. I'm sorry if you don't speak Chi, I'll try and translate it. Na mebana ye timid, not otitemechi. Mr. Bessing and call your mates. So she said the children in the international school had so much confidence. She was so enthused about the whole idea of children being like that. She wanted her child to be like that. But her child was timid. And the child was staying close to her, trying to hide. And she would keep saying, move, move, they are your mates. And then she said that at that point, she said she would find money and take her child to the international school. But when she was pulling and pulling and the money was not coming, she said, it doesn't matter. You go to the show like that, I'll teach you. Next slide, please. So, next slide. We've looked at some of the signs and symptoms. So this is just a slide on signs and symptoms that you can find. Next slide, please. Next slide. So now we are looking at the impact. Next slide. We're looking at the impact on the mother. If a mother has mental health problems during pregnancy or after delivery, how does it affect her? It can lead to substance abuse. Again, that same patient who came into the consulting room was abusing benzodiazepines, sleeping pills. So she was already she had already developed tolerance. Tolerance means that now she needs more of the tablets to get the same effect, and that is already addiction. So she was already addicted to it. You can also be susceptible to infections during pregnancy and even after pregnancy. A lot of studies have proven time and again that increased stress and depression reduce immunity and they delay wound healing. So even healing after delivery becomes a problem when the mother is stressed, depressed, anxious. And then there can also be an increased risk of postpartum hemorrhage for the same reasons. The mother who is depressed, anxious, or stressed is also at higher risk of pregnancy losses than the mother who is not, or the woman who is not. And then there's an increased risk of suicide and deaths, especially infanticide. So more often than not, when the mother is so depressed that she feels like the world is just a horrible place, and it's not a place anybody should live in, but she loves her child. And so she will decide that the child should not be in this big, bad world either. And usually they would kill the child first before they kill themselves. For some reason, they never get to themselves, and then they get help, but the child is gone. Impact on infants. There's a higher risk of preterm delivery and low birth weight. There's problems with bonding, and in future that affects the child's relationships. What kind of relationships the child forms is affected. Then there's an increased risk of infections and increased risk of infanticide. I have mentioned that already, and then death. Now, how do we prevent these problems? And if they occur, how do we manage them? The first thing is screening and early detection. That's always the first. It's important to look out for it before it happens, so that we can pick it up early and manage it early. When I was speaking, I said that it would usually start with anxiety and then progress to depression and then progress to psychosis. So if it's picked up early, it won't get there. Unfortunately, with all the stories we heard, they all had counsel and they were relieved because it hadn't gotten there. Then therapeutic approaches. So medications when necessary. Some medications affect the baby when the baby is born. And so the specialist is always going to weigh the risk against the benefits with the mother and make a decision with the mother. If a mother already has an existing mental health problem and they are on medication, pregnancy in itself is protective for a lot of mental health conditions. The hormones in pregnancy is protective. This is why as soon as the hormones go down, the problems escalate. And so we can confidently reduce or stop the medications depending on what the situation is for that particular mother. But that mother is definitely going to have a psychiatric nurse in the labor room so that as soon as the baby comes out, she takes her medication. Then support systems. We can't overemphasize that. And that's what everyone that shared her story had. So support, support, support. And we'll look at how to give support. What manner of support should we give? Sometimes we think we are helping, but we are actually making things worse. Now, these are a few Bible verses for when we feel down. At the end of the day, we are Christians. And thankfully, again, many studies have shown that people with a faith will do better for any medical condition than people who don't have faith. And so no matter what, our faith will always have to come in as part of the support. When parenting is difficult and you feel like giving up, remember 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9. When you are afraid, remember 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. And then, when you have made a mistake, think of Romans 8, verse 1. I'll talk about the one with the mistake, because it happens to a lot of people. A lot of people who are Christians, who have children out of wedlock, struggle a lot with guilt. And when they are having problems after delivery, problems during pregnancy, they believe that God is punishing them. But our God does not punish, he rebukes. And so it's important to remember these verses when you're going through such. It only worsens the delusional guilt of the mother. Next slide. Now, so we are looking mainly at intimate partners in terms of the support. But from the stories that have been shared, we know that it goes beyond just the partner. Sometimes even the people we are expecting support from, like our sister shared, don't give us the support. You'd have some mothers tell you, and what for breme. When you finish giving birth, they'll say that I'm farming all plans. Hurry up and give birth, hurry up and give. When you give birth, I'll take care of the child. You give birth and she says, don't add me to your plans, I'm busy. My sister-in-law had a pregnancy loss. It was difficult, very difficult. And then the second pregnancy, she had the baby. And then she comes to me and she says, why is Mama doing this? I thought by now everybody would be happy. Because Mama was not available to take care of the child, and she's stressed because she doesn't know what to do. And again, expectations. So even though Mama is not available to take care of the baby, she's also refusing to have anybody come and take care of the baby because it's her duty, and she doesn't want shame. All of this worsens our stress. If she doesn't go and she asks someone else to go, or she asks her in-law to go, in her mind, that is shameful because it's her duty. In her mind, it's her duty. Which is funny because the child is not one person's child. So let's change our mindsets and do better. So in terms of intimate partner support, we can have emotional support. We can have practical support where you're helping with the chores at home, helping with the baby. It's our baby. It's we are pregnant. It's not she is pregnant. And that is the mindset that follows the practical support. Next slide. There's also psychological support where the partner, and again, anyone at all, because it's more than just the partner that should give the support, would learn about these issues, these mental health problems in motherhood. If you learn about them, then you can provide the necessary support by identifying it quickly and then getting them the help they need. Next slide. There's also the importance of communication. A lot of us don't communicate, especially as women. A lot of women use passive aggression. So when she's angry, she won't say anything. She won't say anything, but she will bang the door. We don't communicate. It's important that we learn to speak. It's important that we learn to talk about what we need. In the first slide, I talked about how sometimes even when we are asked, how can I help? We don't know where to start from. We don't know how to communicate our feelings. And learning to communicate can make a lot of difference. Thank you. Next slide, please. There's also the role of intimacy and bonding. Next slide, please. And then ongoing awareness, monitoring, and advocacy. Next slide, please. The last one we'll talk about is promoting healthy lifestyle choices. So eating well, exercising. And this is a support strategy. So it's not she has to eat well. It is we have to eat well. It's not she has to exercise. Then she's going for jogging and then you are looking at her. You go for the jogging together. That is what support is about. Next slide, please. Right. So there are local resources available. These days, there's a mental health unit in almost every government hospital you would go to. Kolebu has a mental health unit. It has too many psychiatrists, too many psychologists. Accra Psychiatric Hospital is there. So if you are worried about the stigma in the psychiatric hospitals, Kolebu is there. Nyaho Hospital is there. La Paz Community Hospital is there. St. Michael Specialist Hospital is there. Holy Trinity is there. Almost every health facility you'd go to has at least a psychologist or a psychiatrist, at least one, that you can talk to. Then there's also the mental health helpline, which is toll-free. And it's 080. I'm sharing the number, please. So you may want to note it down. 080-678-678. 0800-678-678. It's so free. So if you want to talk to someone without the person seeing your face, that's also, and then you don't have money to pay, that's also a means that you can get help. All right.
You are watching Powerline TV. Stay tuned.
Hello family, it's a brand new week at Royal House Chapel, Oyo Dome, and here is everything you need to know. Throughout the month of June, we'll be gathering every weekday at 5:30 p.m. sharp at the main Ahimfi Auditorium for Armageddon prayer meeting. Each day, a different group will host the meeting. Example, Monday, Deborah Tree, Tuesday, camp coordinators, and so on. We are all encouraged to join this powerful prayer section. After the main meetings, groups will hold their regular internal meetings briefly. Now, here's what else is happening this week. On Wednesday morning, 10 a.m., come and encounter God at the Hour of Champion prayer meeting. On Friday evening at 6:30 p.m., come expecting signs and wonders at our miracle and prayer service. And on Saturday, 6 a.m., start your weekend right at the morning at the altar prayer service. Don't forget the French and International Ministry meet every Tuesday, 6 p.m. for Restoration Hour and 9 a.m. for Sunday service at the Restoration Temple. Please note that the next child dedication takes place on 22nd of June. If you'd like to dedicate your child, kindly visit our information desk and register as soon as possible. Finally, registration is ongoing for the upcoming Men's, Royal Ladies and Children's Camp. Kindly visit our information desk for assistance. That's all for now. Let's stay connected and walk in power in this month of June.
The daughters of Mama Rita, are you ready for some praise? Wave your mantles! Wave your mantles! Somebody celebrate it to your next level. Celebrate it to your shift.
You are going with your marriage.
We receive it.
You are going with your pregnancy.
We receive it.
You are going with your children.
We receive it.
Royal ladies, are you ready? The moment we've been waiting for is finally here. From every assembly, every region, and every nation, the women are gathering again. Camp 2025 is not just another event, it's the destiny moment. We have seen great miracles, heard moving testimonies, and experienced the powerful move of God like never before. And this year will be no different.
This year, get ready for another encounter and history in the making. From Thursday 3rd to Sunday 5th July, all roads lead to the city of Shiloh for Royal Ladies Camp 2025. Theme: there shall be a performance. Luke 1:45.
And in a glorious moment, our President General, Reverend Mrs. Rita Korankye-Ankrah, will be consecrated as Apostle of the Lord's Church. Joining her are a dynamic lineup of speakers: Reverend Mrs. Dora Takiaboy, Reverend Emmanuel Agomeda, Reverend Geoffrey Adotutu, Reverend Mrs. Faith Ngwale, and our Father, Apostle General Sam Korankye-Ankrah.
Wherever you be joining us from, we've prepared a seat online just for you. Connect live on Powerline TV and all Royal House digital platforms. Royal Ladies Camp 2025, there shall be a performance. Royal Ladies, arise and shine.
Stay inspired by the powerful teachings of Sam Korankye-Ankrah, now available at your fingertips. To download and listen to his messages, simply head to your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. Just search for Sam Korankye-Ankrah. Hit subscribe to receive new episodes directly. You can download the latest episode for offline listening Whether you are at home, on the go, or wherever you need that fresh word of encouragement, get ready to be uplifted. Subscribe now to the Mama Korankye-Ankrah podcast and start listening today. Exciting news, Royal House family. We are expanding our payment options to make it even easier for you to stay connected to the altar and support the work of God. In addition to our existing platforms, you can now send your sacrifices through TapTapSend or SendWave from the UK, Europe, US, or Canada. Just download the app from the App Store or the Google Play Store and select Ghana as your destination. Then select MTN or Telecel mobile money. Enter the church's Momo or Telecel number and send your tithes, offerings, pledges, and any other sacrifices quickly and securely. Be a part of what God is doing in Royal House Chapel wherever you are in the world. Are you looking for inspiration and a deeper walk with God? Join the official WhatsApp channel of Apostle General Mama Korankye-Ankrah, your personal gateway to uplifting messages, powerful teachings, and spiritual wisdom that speaks to your everyday life. Stay connected with exclusive videos, devotionals, life-changing quotes, and prophetic insights. This is more than just a channel. It's a daily encounter with truth, grace, and power. Scan the code. Click on the follow button to join the family. Let the word transform your life one day at a time.
Jesus, you are the Son of God. He is not the Son of God because he was born by a Virgin Mary. He was not the Son of God just by name. Attribute. 2, by obedience. And then number 3, he was Son of God by example. He showed us who God is here on this earth. If you want to know the mind of God towards your sickness, see the way Jesus Christ handled every sickness that came his way. If you want to know the mind of God towards death and the grave, check the resurrection celebration and the power of resurrection, and you will know how God wants you to overcome death and the grave. If you want to know God's mind concerning financial lack and poverty, check Jesus' control over resources. He said, catch the fish, open their mouth, and then take away the coin and pay the tax. If you want to know what God's mind is concerning his daily provision, watch Jesus Christ. Watch his example. He is the express example of who God wants us to be like here on this earth before we go to heaven.